Yo, what's up, everyone? This is King Crypto. Today I'm going to be talking about the top 3 times Bitcoin is going to soar this year and when to look out for that so that you can make some easy money and a good return on your investment. So without further ado, I'd like to talk about my winner of the day, which is Regina. I didn't want to do the random comment because I feel like she really deserves it. I see her on all my videos. She always leaves an elaborate response and most of the time doesn't even leave her Litecoin address. So I'm happy she did that because she definitely deserves it this time. So if you guys want to win, sometimes it's a lot easier to just comment and say, something worthwhile because it will get my attention. So let me send that to her real quickly. And also, like to just tell you guys, since YouTube won't monetize me, I did get a sponsorship with a company I really do believe in. It's called True Reply. They're my sponsor for this month and next month. And they are building the platform for voice-based data collection. And they're the first and only platform where you can earn money in cryptocurrency, their cryptocurrency TrueCoin, by doing surveys on Amazon Alexa. And that's a product that you can find in 36 million households today. So that level of accessibility and monopoly makes me see them as a real winner for 2018. Their token sale is going on right now. You can see it right here. So please click the link below. And I would suggest to get on top of this because they really are. I mean, I have options to pick sponsors. You wouldn't believe how many people reach out to me, but I picked them for a reason. And I think you should at least sign up and just check it out. No pressure. But anyway, moving on. I'd like to get on with this. Let's talk about the top 3 reasons. So let's look at the markets a little bit. You can see that there's a slight pullback, but nothing too dramatic, nothing like what we saw last time. So thank God that's not happening again. But there's a few things that are going to happen in this year that you'll see that will really affect the price. It won't have anything to do with technical analysis. It's all going to be about the hype, and those things are all psychological factors or events that will happen with Bitcoin that will propel it. Some things will make it so worthwhile for Bitcoin that it might completely dominate the cryptocurrency markets if it's implemented this year. But I believe that it'll be very close to being implemented and be used already in certain cases. But however, let me move on to my first reason, or the first date that you should look out for. So this is NASDAQ. They're going to release a Bitcoin futures contract in the second quarter or the first half of this year. Now, I thought it was coming out in April. That's what I saw. I can't find it anywhere, but I do believe it's coming out in April. Now, I could be wrong, but it's safe to have your Bitcoin now, or maybe sign up to one of these websites that constantly track the certain current events of crypto, because if you can get notifications, you can be the first to find out. Because you'll find out on a lot of these news sources, they'll tell you the date, and then you can be the first one to invest because it's a hype game. You have to buy the rumor and sell the news. So when you hear that rumor that it's coming out on this certain date, that's when you want to buy in. And that's when I'm going to do it because NASDAQ is huge. Obviously, it's part of the, you can go in your stocks on Apple and it's the number one thing you see on the very top. So they actually do have a Bitcoin futures in, I think in Europe somewhere. Yeah, in Stockholm. And they've had it since 2015. So they are familiar with Bitcoin, and they are, I trust that they'll be able to do this in the time that they said they would. So April is in my head where it's going to happen. And they're going to give you probably some room before they announce that. Or once they announce it, they'll probably announce like a month or 2 before, something like that. So when that happens, I mean, if we take a look at what happened when the futures contracts were first announced, like the first ones in December, you can see that the price of Bitcoin absolutely soared. So this was right around when it was talked about. And once that happened, we saw the price cross 10,000. And then this was the hype of when the futures contracts were coming out, like right around this time. And you can see that this is when the price went all the way up to 19,000. And now we see a steady pullback, but now we can see that things are starting to get back to normal. 10,000 is a very comfortable starting point for me for 2018, and I do believe it's going to keep going up. And especially that kind of news, when that comes out, you should be very ready for that, because it will go up. The hype behind those kind of events will cause people to start buying it in large numbers, just because it's kind of like whether or not it's a sensible thing to do or sensible thing to do, people all know at the same time that, oh, this is good news, got to buy in. And everyone thinks that, whether it's good or bad for Bitcoin, it will ultimately drive the price up. So that's the first thing. Now, the second point I'd like to make is the Lightning Network. Now, there's a lot of talk about the Lightning Network and just how useful it will be. So I'm going to try to summarize it in literally a few sentences. But the Lightning Network is, imagine you have a vault, right? And all right, even better. Imagine, you want to go to Starbucks. You want to buy coffee with your Bitcoin. Well, right now you can't do that because the transactions are, first of all, way too slow. They're very expensive, and that's just not going to work if you want to run a business, unless you're buying in bulk. So what you can do with the Lightning Network is you and the other party create a channel. So think of it as you put money in a vault that's also connected to that coffee store, and they can put money in a vault, and let's say you put 0.05 Bitcoin in there. Now, every time, that's called a multi-sig address, and that's the whole point. That's the meaning of that. So you can use that address, and you can send money in Bitcoin to the coffee store with virtually no cost, no transaction fee, and what do you call it? You can do it immediately as well. So that's very useful. Now, that's just in a nutshell. I mean, I haven't even gone into the other things it can do, but for a business, that's unbelievable. So you're pretty much creating a smart contract within, and you just mark off once you do the what do you call it? The transaction, and it's immediate, and it costs barely nothing. So hope I explained that well. I'm going to make another video about the Lightning Network sooner or later, and I'm going to explain it in detail. But knowing that, once that happens and you see the full implementation of the Lightning Network, when we start hearing news about that too, like, it doesn't even have to necessarily come out immediately. Right now, Bitcoin is kind of looked at more as an asset than it is a transactional coin. It's like a store of gold, digital gold. That will change when the Lightning Network comes out and when it works. Because once that happens, Bitcoin will be as good as any other transactional coin. I mean, it'll be up there with Digibyte. It won't be hard for you to send your currency anymore. You won't have to depend on all those confirmations. And it will still be as secure as it would be, if you didn't have the Lightning Network. So it's absolutely imperative that this comes out. And when you start hearing news, that's why you got to sign up for these crypto news sites. Once you start hearing about these certain things, it gives you an indicator of when to maybe buy your position in or whatnot, because that's absolutely the best way to go about this. And as you keep hearing more and more news about this, and as it's getting more adopted with other users and whatnot, you're going to see that this is going to change everything. This will be the difference between Bitcoin being at 36% to 80%. Most of these coins won't, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of coins here that do have a functional value that make them stand out. But Bitcoin, the only thing holding it back is the fact that it's not fast and it's expensive. Once those things are out of the window, no one's ever going to use a transactional coin again if they can use Bitcoin the way they can use Litecoin or Ethereum. I mean, with Litecoin, that's why I use Litecoin. That's why I send people Litecoin, because I don't want people waiting for like 3 hours to get the currency I'm sending them in my videos. So if Bitcoin can fix that, or if the Lightning Network can fix that, then you better believe that we're not going to really need to use these other coins. There won't be much of a use unless there's a functional use, which we can see in the top 20. There are a few of these coins that do have a functional use, and I think they will stick around. Ethereum will absolutely stick around. Ripple will stick around. Litecoin could potentially stick around. Cardano will. Neo. But any kind of currency that you see that is just based on transactional value isn't going to be as it's not going to have as much value, because Bitcoin replaced that. When scalability of 1 million to 1 billion transactions per second happens, that means Bitcoin is more scalable now than the Visa credit cards or MasterCard credit cards. It'll be more scalable than those products or those credit cards. If that happens, you're going to see the price of Bitcoin, I think, easily 50,000, easily 100,000. I don't even think I don't feel like there's a doubt that that's going to happen once that happens, because the adoption is already occurring. It's just those little setbacks are keeping it from really exploding to me. And then finally, the last thing that you want to remember, the last time that Bitcoin will moon in 2018 you have to look out for psychological barriers that will be broken. And that's numbers that Bitcoin will hit. So for example, when Bitcoin hits 20,000 this year, or if it does, that's a good indicator that it probably will keep going up, because the hype will be back at all-time highs. I don't know if you remember this, but if you were in this when it was at $10,000, Bitcoin shot up to 19,000, and that was because of the influx of new buyers. Now, that's not a healthy ecosystem for Bitcoin, but it also doesn't really suck too bad to make twice the amount that you put in, right? So if you buy at 20,000 and everything looks stable and it looks like there's a good resistance and it's not going to come tumbling down, most likely what will happen is 20,000 Bitcoin. You'll see it on all the news sites again. It'll be talked about over and over again, and it'll cause all the people that doubted it at 10,000 are going to be like, wow, it's still going up, and you're going to get new investors. And that brings me to another point. When that happens, you're going to also see the market cap might hit 1 trillion. By the time Bitcoin hits 20,000, if it can do that, I believe the market cap could be very close to 1 trillion. That's another psychological barrier that we're going to see, and when that breaks, it's going to cause more of an influx of money. There are signals to people. We don't like to buy things when things are going down. People buy things when it's going up, when it's looking good, when the product's looking good, when the team looks professional, all those things. And it applies to Bitcoin too. When Bitcoin looks like it's going up, it's going to go up, as weird as that sounds. So 20,000 Bitcoin is probably going to lead to a $1 trillion market cap, which is going to inspire a whole new level of investors that never thought about investing. I mean, the fact that Bitcoin hit 5,000, I remember when I saw Bitcoin hit 5,000, I was like, wow, like, I gotta get into this now, And I mean, I was into Bitcoin a year before, actually, yeah, like 2 years ago. But I took a break, and then I saw it hit 5,000, and I was like, wow, I cannot miss out anymore. And you're gonna see that with more people, you're gonna see that as the price gets it has to be those numbers that are like, it has to be 20,000, you know what I mean? It can't be 19,900. Once we love those round numbers. 1 trillion is a round number. You know what I mean? That is what people are going to look for. That's what makes the news, and that's what will make people pay attention. And also, as another psychological barrier, this might be a little bit further down the road. I'm not going to say this is going to happen in 2018, but when cryptocurrency captures 1 to 10% of the global Forex market, we could potentially see the price of Bitcoin hit $100,000 to $1 million. And I promise you, with the Lightning Network, there's no reason why it wouldn't. As companies and as NASDAQ plans to add these futures contracts, it legitimizes Bitcoin. So that's really all I wanted to say about that. I don't see why this wouldn't happen in this year and especially in the coming years. I really think Lightning Network is the ultimate thing that's going to revolutionize Bitcoin. It's going to revolutionize people's opinions on it. It'll make things a lot easier for people too. And once you see that happen, I think everything really will change in the favor of Bitcoin. So with all that said, guys, I am King Crypto. I hope this video was informative. Pay attention to those dates. Pay attention to those psychological barriers. They're all going to mean a lot when it comes to your investment and how much money you can make, So with all that said, thank you so much, guys. Leave a comment below for your free Litecoin. All right, don't forget about that. And maybe make it a little bit like Regina so it's worth reading. Just a thought. All right, guys, let's get cryptical.